Hello everyone, welcome back to the e-learning space of MGM Higher Secondary School, Bokaro. This is the second video for reader lesson number 12 of class 8 English. Lesson number 12 in our reader books is a poem titled Lord Ulin's Daughter, and it is written by the famous Scottish poet Thomas Campbell. In our first video on the same lesson, we read the poem and paraphrased each stanza. Let us once again go through the summary of the poem. The beautiful and young daughter of Lord Ullin fell in love with the chieftain of Ulva Isle in Scotland and wanted to marry him. Since Lord Ullin was deadly against their alliance, the lovers decided to elope. As soon as Lord Olin came to know of their elopement, he led a group of his armed men and gave them a hot chase. The lovers fled from place to place. For 3 days they were able to dodge Lord Olin and his men. Finally, they reached the shore of Loch Gyle. The weather was dark and stormy. The chieftain asked the boatman not to delay any longer but row them over the ferry across Loch Gyle to his native state of Ulva. The chieftain said that if Lord Olin found them in the glen, he would kill him instantly. His horsemen were behind him. He offered to give the ferryman a silver pound for his services. The valiant boatman promised to help them, not for his money, but for the girl's sake. He would do his utmost to see that the lady would not be in danger. By that time a fierce storm gathered and a wild wind began to blow. The water was assuming the form of ghosts. The heaven was scowling. Each face was looking dark as it was speaking. The night grew more fearful. It was dangerous to go out in the stormy sea. Just then they heard the sound of the hoofs of horses. The girl cried to make haste as she would not like to meet her angry father. Instead, she would prefer to meet the angry skies. The stormy sea was before Lord Ollin's daughter. It was too strong for human beings. In fact, it had gathered over her. Still they rowed in the middle of it. Just then Lord Olin reached that fatal shore. The boat of the lovers was caught in the storm. He was shocked to see his daughter struggling with the waves. She stretched one hand towards him for help, the other was round her lover. Lord Olin asked her to come back. He promised to forgive her Highland chief, but it was too late. The loud waves lashed the shore. The storm had drowned the two lovers. Lord Olin stood there lamenting over the loss of his beautiful and bonny lass. Analysis of the poem. Lord Ulllin's Daughter is one of the most famous romantic poems of Thomas Campbell, which describes how a Scottish chieftain and his beloved flee from her angry father. Both try to escape Lord Ullin's anger and ask the boatman to ferry them quickly and not to delay as the Lord's men chasing them on horsebacks. In spite of rough sea, the boatman agrees to row them across, not because of silver, but for the sake of the girl with childlike innocence and charm. He promises to help them through the waves that are angry and infuriated. The storm grows violent, the wind blows fiercely, the waves become wild and leap higher as the night becomes dearer. The sound of the horses can be heard close by. The lady implores the boatman to hasten as the storm was gathered round them. The lady faces a dilemma. If she is caught, the angry father will kill her lover and her too. If they ferry ahead, they may be engulfed by the tempest. She finally decides to sail further in the stormy sea rather than face the wrath of her father. She says that she is ready to meet the anger of the skies, but not her angry father. The boatman who ferries the couple across the sea is courageous and helpful. He doesn't care for money. He is a man of words. He risks everything to fulfill his promise. The sea is too fierce for human beings, hence the boatman fails to control his boat. The boat is caught in the storm. Lord Olin reaches the fatal shore. His wrath changes into wailing. He finds his dear daughter with one beautiful hand stretched out for help and the other hand round her lover. He promises to forgive her Highland chief, but it is futile as the strong waves dash against the shore and prevent all help and rescue. Lord Ullin is left lamenting. The poem here depicts generation gap. The father should have understood his daughter's feelings. The poet uses words like adown, road, which contain harsh consonants to create an unpleasant effect. The hard metallic sound seems to strike our ear and knock us down. The poet has used these harsh consonants to prepare us for the impending tragedy. Thomas Campbell used poetic devices like imagery, symbolism, alliteration to portray the menacing face of nature. Imagery used figurative language to help form mental pictures. Thomas Campbell has used vivid, diverse, and popular imagery for this purpose. The following images depict anger of sky, wind, and water. Waves are raging white, stormy water. Water wraith was shrieking, raging of the skies, scowl of heaven. These expressions show different imageries. The line, "the water wraith was shrieking," uses symbolism. The wind was raised the water into a kind of violent storm. The sea storm changes into a tempest and drowns Lord Ullин's daughter and her lover. Thus, the symbolism is a premonition of what happens at the end. The alliteration in stormy sea, storm and shade, water wild went, wilder blew the wind, and loud waves lashed the shore reinforce the menacing face of nature. The theme of the poem, Lord Ullин's Daughter, is a romantic set in the medieval period where two lovers, the Lord Ullин's daughter and the chieftain, have eloped together and have to cross a stormy sea. This poem has all the elements of life like love, hatred, fear, and the tragic ending gives the poem a dramatic ending. Coming to the textual exercises given in your reader book, understand and answer. Complete this short summary with information from the poem. Write one word per blank. A chief and his lover were running away from her father. Despite the stormy weather, the chieftain asked a boatman to take them across Loch Gyle. The lady's father was pursuing them along with armed horsemen because he intended to kill the chieftain. As the storm and the sound of hoofs grew louder, the lady begged the boatman to hurry because she did not want to face her father's anger. Her father and the horseman reached the shore only to see his daughter dead. He called out to her to return and promised to forgive her chieftain, but it was too late. Exercise 2. Read the stanza and answer the questions. "'Twas vain, the loud waves lashed the shore, and he was left lamenting." What was the vain or useless action? Lord Ullин's crying for his daughter to return back was a vain or useless action. Why was Lord Ullin left lamenting? Lord Ullin was left lamenting because his lovely daughter was eaten up by the sea storm, and he felt guilty about it because she was dead as she was running away from his anger. Exercise 3. Find words in the poem that mean the following. The first letter of each word is given. First one, ran away from. The word starts with F. The word is fled, F-L-E-D. Screaming, shrieking, S-H-R-I-E-K-I-N-G. The sounds of horses' hooves, their feet, trampling, T-R-A-M-P-L-I-N-G. Storm, tempest, T-E-M-P-E-S-T. Being greater in strength, prevailing. Causing death, fatal, F-A-T-A-L. Come to the exercise think and appreciate. You have learned that when a non-living thing is given a human quality, it is called personification. Find an example of personification in stanza 7. Now, what is being personified and what human quality is it given? Come to stanza 7. By this the storm grew loud apace, the water wraith was shrieking, and in the scowl of heaven each face grew dark as they were speaking. So there are so many personifications here. First, the water wraith, the sea is being called a monster. It is being personified as something that is living, it is shrieking, it is shouting. Another example is the scowl of heaven. Heaven is an idea. It has been personified with as if it is a person with an angry face. So what is being personified? Heaven is being personified and it has been given the quality of anger. See the second question. Tragedy is a type of story in a drama, prose or poetry where the main character suffers great sorrow or ruin as a result of being unable to cope with difficult circumstances or because of their own faults. So do you think the poem could be called a tragedy? Why? Yes, the poem can be called a tragedy because the two main characters, the chief of Ulva's island and the Lord Ullin's daughter, on whom that poem is based, the title suggests so, die in the end. What led to the tragic end of the main characters? There are a number of events that led to the tragic end of the main characters. First of all, they were in love. Their father did not agree. He disapproved of the match. They were eloping from the anger of their father. The father was chasing them. And in the event of eloping the wrath of their father, they thought of escaping that place through a boat in the midst of a storm, which was the end of their story. Now come to the third question. Write the sequence of events that ended in the drowning of the main characters. The first two events are given below. Just as discussed in question number 2, that what led to the tragic end of the main characters, you can again enlist these events in sequence in the third one. The first two is already done for you. Two people fall in love and decide to marry. The girl's father disapproves of the match. The girl and her lover decide to elope and still get married. So continue the idea and complete this answer in the textbook itself. The assignments that you would be doing from this lesson: read the poem and mark the tough words. Learn the word meanings, especially the ones given in your glossary. Complete the textual exercises in the reader books itself. Find out the poetic devices and the rhyme scheme of the poem. Do exercise 2 given on page number 73 in your English copies. Do exercise 1 and 2, think and appreciate, in your English copies. And based on your understanding of the poem, give a pictorial representation of it and color it. That's all about discussion and analysis of the poem Lord Ullin's Daughter, written by Thomas Campbell. Thank you, children, and take care.